Hey there, Plan Bers, and welcome back to another episode of Plan B Success. Bootstrapping is a concept that's been around for centuries, but it's becoming increasingly popular in the tech world. If you are not familiar with the term, it just means starting up a company without any outside funding. Why would anyone want to do that? Well, there are lots of reasons. But one big reason is because bootstrapping lets you keep more control over your business. And that's important if you're trying to make a name for yourself. For example, if you're working on some kind of project or product and then suddenly have an investor swoop in and say, "I'll give you 100 million to start this company." Well, what happens then? You're no longer making decisions based on what's best for your product. Now, you need to make decisions based on what will make money for investors and how much. And that can be really scary. It can take away the creative freedom that comes with starting up something new and exciting without having to worry about investors telling you how things should look or feel or sound like they should go down. Being a small business owner is tough work, and it's even harder when you're bootstrapping. The term bootstrap refers to the act of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, which is hard enough when you have two hands, let alone when all you have is one. So what does that mean for entrepreneurs? It means that they need to be creative with their money and resources so they can grow their companies without relying on investors. But don't worry, there are plenty of ways for small businesses to thrive without taking on outside capital. Some companies have found creative ways to grow their business without investors. You can also bootstrap your way to success by finding creative ways to grow your business. For example, some companies have found that the best way to attract investors is by showing them how good their product is, and then getting them interested enough that they want in on the action. If you don't want to go down this route, don't worry, there are other options as well. Bootstrapping is a great way of doing business without taking on debt, without having shareholders or partners involved in your company. The only other thing you need is time and maybe some coffee. Keep costs low by finding ways to cut overhead. There are many ways to reduce overhead. You can find ways to cut costs by outsourcing, using the internet and social media, technology, and more. Outsourcing is one way you can reduce your company's overhead by hiring freelancers or independent contractors for projects that are not making money for your business. You're freeing up time for yourself so that you can focus on increasing revenue streams or finding new opportunities for growth. Technology makes it possible for small businesses to run like large ones without having an enormous budget at their disposal. This includes accounting software such as QuickBooks, which allows entrepreneurs to track all of their transactions, and invoicing tools like FreshBooks, which allows them to invoice clients directly through email. Hire people that can bring more than their job description spells out. Hire smart people who are passionate about the company's mission, culture, values, and customers. Let employees know what you expect from them, but give them latitude on how to go about it. This is the foundation of thinking bigger than yourself and believing in others' ability to succeed at tasks that may be outside their wheelhouse or comfort zone. It's also important not to micromanage your employees. Trust that they will get things done. And if they don't, step in like a coach and guide them through it rather than just telling them what needs doing and then expecting that they'll do it right on the first try, which rarely happens. Finding good, reliable employees is essential to the success of a small business. You will have to hire people with skills you don't have and cannot teach yourself. You need to look for candidates who are motivated and reliable, good at what they do, able to do more than just their job description states, and willing to learn new skills as needed. create an open environment where employees feel comfortable sharing ideas and concerns. You can do this by creating a culture where it's okay for people to share their ideas, concerns, and problems. During team meetings, encourage people to share their successes and failures as well as ideas for improvement. This will help you learn about the things that are working well so you can continue them, but also the areas where improvements can be made. Entrepreneurs often underestimate how much they don't know. So if you are a first-time entrepreneur, know that you may not have all the answers right away. You will need to hire people who do have those answers and can help you learn them. An important part of being an entrepreneur is figuring out what your strengths are and focusing on those things while hiring others to fill in the gaps. This leads me to my next point. When you're bootstrapping, it becomes even more important that you focus on your customers, since each one helps keep your company afloat. No matter what stage of business you're in, or how much money or time you have to spend, one of the most essential things for a startup is to focus on its customers. Your product or service is only as good as its ability to meet someone's needs. Customers are the reason you're in business, and they will decide whether or not your company succeeds. If people don't want or need what you offer, then no amount of money spent on marketing will help them find out about it. And if no one knows about it, then there won't be any sales either. Keeping up with your competition is important, but don't lose sight of what's made your company successful in the first place. You'll also want to keep an eye on your competition. If they're doing something that's working, it might be worth borrowing their idea or coming up with a similar one of your own. But don't get so caught up in copying someone else's ideas that you lose sight of what made your company successful in the first place. Remember, your customers are going to buy from a company they trust and feel good about. The most important thing you can do is have a clear vision for where you want the business to go, and then make sure everything else fits into that vision. This includes hiring new employees. Make sure you have a clear business plan and a clear vision for the company's future. It's important to have a clear business plan, and it's also important to have a vision for the company as it grows. If that sounds like two things, it is. But having both is essential if you're going to succeed in building your own company from scratch with no outside help or funding. When you're first starting out, there are many unknowns about what will happen in the future. Will anyone buy my product? What if I overestimated demand? How much should I charge people? What kind of work can my team handle at once? These are just some examples. There are countless other things that could go wrong or right. If something goes wrong, and something always does, your business may not be able to survive long term without proper planning ahead of time. Know when to pass up a deal if it does not fit with the goals of your company. Know your company's goals. If you don't know what the company is trying to achieve, how can you know whether a deal fits with those goals? Know your company's strengths and weaknesses. If there are some things that you do better than anyone else, but there are other things that no one in their right mind would ever want to do or pay for, it's best not to offer those services. Be aware of your competitors' strengths and weaknesses, as well as their customers' needs and wants. If there's something similar out there that does what you do better, is there something out there that does exactly what yours does, but with better integration with Microsoft Excel, for instance? What is it about those competitor products or services that makes them more successful than yours? Bootstrapping is not easy, but it can be rewarding. Bootstrapping your way to success is not easy, but it can be rewarding. Bootstrapping is a challenge, but you have to be creative and find ways to cut costs. It's important to hire people who can bring more than their job description spells out. If you go through all of the above and still don't think it's possible to grow your company without investors, remember that there are plenty of examples of successful bootstrapped companies out there. For example, MailChimp, which was recently acquired by Intuit for over 12 billion USD, started as a side project while its founder was working another job as a freelance designer. There's also Dropbox, which began with two friends who wanted to share files and grew into one of the most popular cloud storage platforms around today. Or StumbleUpon, which started off as an idea during a road trip between San Francisco and Denver, but soon became one of the top social media sites around today. Bootstrapping or not, the mindset works. If they can do it, why can't you? Hey Plan Bers, I hope you're enjoying this content and finding use for it. Do not forget to share, subscribe, and spread the word through your favorite podcasting platform as well as through YouTube. Make sure you leave a review, a comment, and of course check out planb.live, my coaching platform where I'm helping small businesses get to the next level as quickly and as robustly as they can.